Hello, everyone. Again, I'd like to thank those who watched my last video. I hope that if anything, it might have gave you a little insight as to what alcoholism is, and gave you a little insight into the fact that there is a solution for it. When I first stopped drinking, when I first ended my love affair with Ethyl alcohol, there were a lot of changes that I had to make. When I got out of rehab, there were people calling me. When I was going to work, there were people asking me if I was going to come hang out at the bar, or, there's a party going on this weekend, you're going to attend. I mean, I was constantly being bombarded with people asking me to come hang out. I was a couple months sober, and my mother called me up, and she proceeded to tell me that they were having a coming out party for me. It was going to be held at my brother's, out on the deck. She said that they were going to have beer there, and she knows that drugs was my problem, but, it was just going to be beer and booze. And I proceeded to tell her, Mother, beer, alcohol, drugs is my problem. And I proceeded to tell her, I said, you know what, Mother? I said, a lot of the things I used to do and the people I used to hang out with, I no longer do, because I've come to realize by me coming and doing the things I used to do, I may set myself up to pick up a drink. I proceeded to tell her I got this recovery thing going on. They told me to give it 90 days to see if it's going to work for me. And that's what I'm going to do. So I won't be attending the party. And please don't call me anymore asking me to. And so a couple months later, I was 6, 7 months into my sobriety, and I got another phone call. It was my mother's birthday, and they were having a birthday dinner for her at this really, really nice restaurant. And they asked if I would attend. So I had someone who I trusted, and I went and I talked to him, and I told him what was going on, and he asked me, well, how do I feel about it? And I said, well, I don't know. And then he asked me, a real weird question. He asked me, he said, well, what's your reason for going? And I said, well, it's my mother's birthday, and I want to go, celebrate her birthday. He said, oh. He said, so you're not going there to drink? I said, no, I'm not going there to drink. He said, well, then you don't have nothing to worry about. And I said, so you think it's a good idea? He said, if you go anywhere with the right motives and the right thoughts, you'll be okay. He told me to go there right when things were getting ready to start and to leave, before things end. In other words, before the heavy drinking and stuff starts. And so I listened to it. And that's what I did. I went there and we were all sitting around the table. The waitress came. And she asked everybody what they would like to drink. So everyone was going around and they were ordering, their beverages, and it got to me. And I mean to tell you, a hush came over the whole table. And I almost forgot what I wanted to order. And I looked at the waitress and I said, I'd like to have a sweetened iced tea, please. And she said, okay. And then the conversation started again. We had dinner. We celebrated my mother's birthday. After the festivities were over, I told everyone I had to leave. Hope y'all have a nice evening. And I left. That was my first time being around alcohol once I made a conscious decision to myself that, was no longer going to drink just for a day. I never said I was going to not drink forever. I never said I was not going to drink for a couple of months. Every day, when I got out of bed, I said to myself, I'm just not going to drink today, under any and all conditions. And that became my mainstay for putting together and accumulating days of not drinking. It was easy for me to look at how unmanageable my life was when I was drinking. It was easy for me to look at the lack of control I had once I started drinking. I was defenseless against it. Once I started drinking, I couldn't stop. And if anything got in my way to impede my drinking, it had to go. Like paying bills, going to work, those kind of things. Because there were times when we'd start drinking on a Friday, and my family wouldn't see me till late Sunday. And then I'd get up and stumble into work Monday morning. And I did that for years. I stumble into work on Monday, and I mean to tell you that I didn't fully sober up till Tuesday morning, with everything that I had in my system. It was amazing to me that, I was able to navigate and learn the trade that I was in, because it was a pretty difficult trade to learn with everything you had to know and the knowledge you had to have and everything. But somehow, some way, these guys who I started in the trade with, there was like 7 or 8 of them. And I use this term lovingly. I use this term to describe it as I saw it then, not now. I consider these guys to be backward, people, and in my mind I had specific names that I would refer to them as. And I come to find out that they looked at me the same way. There were some physical things that happened between me and a couple of them. And, once they found out that I didn't have a problem with taking care of myself, or I wasn't going to let anybody, take advantage of me in that way, that kind of stuff ended. However, these guys pulled all kinds of tricks and everything on me to make my life in learning this trade truly, truly difficult. And after about 6 months with them, they finally saw that they weren't going to run me off. And the owner of the company, for some reason, liked me. And he was going to enroll me in an apprenticeship. So these guys began to teach me the trade. And I was a very, very quick learner. I took to commercial construction like a fish took to water. And I realize now that it's in my genes. I didn't know my father. But I come to find out that he was a 21-year man in the military. He worked on engines of any kind. Him and my mother spent like 4.5 years in Germany when he was stationed. My brother, who got out of Vietnam, became a tool and die maker for Harley Davidson. My other brother, who I talked about, passed away first night I was in rehab. He had a garage, and we all had a great set of hands and an eye for building, creating things. And so it just naturally transferred to me. So once these guys saw that, they weren't going to run me off, they began to teach me to trade. I picked it up very, very quickly. They were surprised and amazed at how fast I was learning. I will recall one instance, because for a while there I did make a lot of mistakes and do some things that, were what a first-year apprentice or someone learning in a trade did. And I had my immediate supervisor Bob asked me, he said, "Nate, do you know what the 5 P's are?" And I said, "Well, no, Bob, what are they?" And he said, "Well, prior planning prevents poor performance." He said, "But the way you've been acting and doing the last couple of days, I'm going to add a 6P. And I said, "Yeah, what was that?" He said, "Prior planning prevents piss poor performance." And that was a little upsetting. But I got back on the beam, and shook me up, and I got back on the beam, and I began to learn. After being with these guys for like 2.5 years, their view and opinion of me drastically changed. My view and opinion of them drastically changed. A number of them bought cabins up in the mountains, and we go up there on the weekends, and we work on their cabins and put in well pumps, electricity, bathrooms, all kinds of stuff. And after their guys' cabins were up and habitable, and they were taking their families up to spend the weekends and this, that, and the other thing. One day, three of them come up to me and they said, "Hey, we want you to have these." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" And they all gave me a key to their cabin. And they told me that any weekend that I wanted to go up there with my family, just let them know. And, their cabin was my cabin. So irregardless of how things started out between us, I learned through that experience that being true to myself, being true to who I am and the man that I was, and being an example of maybe some of the misconceptions and falsehoods that people saw of people like me, it could be put to rest. And I know those guys came to respect me. They came to respect me for the man that I was. They came to respect me for the tradesman that I was and how good I was at my craft. And so it was very important for me to put that in there because, for years, that kind of acknowledgement of myself was something that I never allowed myself to have. So I left that company after 3.5 years and went to another company. And that's the company where I finally hit like I said, the rock bottom, the jumping off place. And my journey in that company started. I was drinking all through this. However, when I was going to school and I was in apprenticeship schooling, I tamped it down to, just a couple of days on the weekend. I'd have a couple drinks and beers in the evening just to keep that monster off of me. I even got into some harder chemical substances, and which helped me maintain my ability to get up every day and go to work. So my life was still evolved around alcoholism and drug addiction. However, it was taken off into some other ways that were beneficial not only to me, but my family. So I needed to share that with you and let you know that I understand. I understand. I've been there. If you were where I am, if you are where I was at that time, I understand. And again, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you dislike the video, hit the dislike button and leave me a comment why you didn't like it. Because you may say something that will spark something in me that I may need to look at and come back and share with you what I found out. So, yeah, by all means, if you don't like it, please let me know. I'd appreciate your feedback. But for now, I want to say goodbye, and I'll see you soon.